My blog today is to identify and briefly explain an important framework used for education technology, distance education, or blended learning that I read about in my research. I chose the topic of community of inquiry. The definition of community of inquiry, or COI, it finds its concept and its groundwork in the description given to this framework by John Dewey, his portrayal of the transactional interplay that happens between the student and teacher that in turns creates an educational experience. John Dewey's ideals are foundational to the description of how e-learning evolved into the coined phenomenon, collaborative constructivism, which is guiding much research today. Components in this community of inquiry, it's broken down into three: social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. Social presence. In e-learning, this component bridges the gap between education as an isolated, individual, student-centered experience and the sense of belonging to a group united for a common purpose, where through collaboration, greater and more meaningful education experience is achieved. Cognitive presence, closely associated with the concept of critical thinking. According to Dewey, the text states that reflective or critical thinking has practical value because it deepens the meaning of our experiences, which is a major educational goal. It's determined, it is demonstrated in the practical inquiry model, which is a standard for the assessment of critical thinking. It is described in four phases: triggering event, exploration, integration, and resolution. These findings here are from Garrison and Anderson, 2003, E-Learning in the 21st Century, a framework. The teaching presence. As part of the educational transaction, teaching presence contributes to the learning-centered environment with appropriately facilitated learning outcomes, yet with all being part of the teaching presence. The goal here is critical thinking and higher order learning outcomes. It gives the teacher's role three primary categories: design and organization, facilitation, and direction of social and cognitive processes for the purpose of realizing personal and meaningful educational worthwhile outcomes. This is found in Garrison and Anderson, 2003. So these are the principles that guide teachers in the use of technology to create a meaningful community of inquiry to be useful in society. Each component interplays with the others to balance the learning experience as guided by the teacher. Like research has proven prior to today's technology, the main goal of COI is to sustain higher order thinking through critical discourse and reflection. Thus, much of the focus on e-learning attempts to research ideals found through research on teaching models that facilitate higher order thinking, the desired outcome of communities of inquiry. E-learning can contribute greatly to this endeavor through many synchronous technologies when they are used in context with learning objectives. Products of Web 2.0 and products of Web 2.0, such as blogs and wikis, are an example of these endeavors, and we're seeing their use in our very own learning experience through Liberty University online instruction. Why is this theory important? It's important because it's the most up-to-date framework guiding e-learning practices. It changed my view in that it gave me a clearer description of the concept of collaboration in the online environment and breaks it down into a workable guide, creating good learning experiences. Whereas before, collaboration in online learning was more general than it is now through this research. As far as how it will be used as a framework or theory in my future for research, I think it will provide a standard with which to stay updated on my research. I can definitely see it being used in my web bibliography, it is titled Collaborative Activities for Online Allied Health Students. I can see it being used in my application, in an application to our literature review project, and the title of that is Peer Coaching. Well, I hope to have gained some interest on your part, and see that through your questions. And in the future, I hope to have more on this issue. Thank you very much.